today we received in the mail one of those pieces of mail that you'd oftentimes throw out without even reading if you're not interested in missions. And it just so happens to be a letter from the man that we're interested in. And if the Lord provides, go down and minister to his orphanage. And I'm going to ask Deacon to read it. And Karen.
No. This is Agape Ministries. And I've never met the gentleman, but
we met at a Jerry Bernard missionary conference in San Diego. Jerry Bernard had missionaries come from all around the world, and he had them share and speak and share their visions. And so I met Les. He's been 20 years in the Amazon with an orphanage in the Assemblies of God Church. And so this is a news report of his mission.
It says, greetings. In our last letter, we wrote of new beginnings, new churches, and now a new president for Brazil, giving us new hope for the 90s. March 15, 1990, after 29 years, Brazil voted in a Democratic president. We're trusting for transformation as inflation has gone out of control. Right now, we have a gasoline shortage for 90% of our cars. Communism is still trying to create problems. However, for now, we have freedom to work at will. We love you and all and appreciate your prayers and help on behalf of the Brazilian work. We send seasoned greetings to each and every one. There's a lot more in the letter.
He asks for $700 to have dental work done on his mouth. He's been ministry for 20 years, and now they said that he's already lost his hair, and they don't want him to lose his teeth. So he's asking for dental money. So anyway, when God led me to Brazil, it's an interesting story. I'll just go quickly and tell you how it happened. In 1978, I was on my second term as one of the pastors at Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa. And my first work was an extension of the church out here in Riverside, where I started the work at All Saints Episcopal Church, which developed into Harvest Ministries with Pastor Greg Laurie. And I led Greg Laurie to the Lord when he was 17 at Harvard High School. So I started the church here, and then he took it over and started pastoring it. They do $8,000 in the church now, and they have a budget of $3 million. I wish that that people can understand that missions are suffering. The missions at home are suffering. So the missions at home, because the missions at home are suffering, you can imagine what third world missions are going through. And you're hearing in the letter that it's the most severe financial time that they've ever known of 20 years in the ministry of Brazil. What happened is that the president froze the money. But I was on staff at Costa Mesa, and after pastoring a year and listening to everybody's problems, my problems started to become bigger than the people's. Because really, I'll tell the body of Christ that's assembled here, don't go for the lie that everybody's called in the fivefold ministries. You know, you've heard of the fivefold ministries: pastor, 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 and pastor. And it just seems like the traditional church requires everybody to be a pastor. That's like everybody to be a mouth. If everybody was a mouth in this room, you guys would all get real tired. You wouldn't even want to be here if everybody was a mouth. Now, I'm sure that there's a couple of mouths here tonight. But you see, the wonderful thing about the body of Christ is that he calls different types of people to serve him. And it's not all pastoring. I hated pastoring. Because I'm not a pastor. I'm an evangelist. I'm a worker. I need to get out and be with the people. I can't sit there and listen to how many times people have committed adultery. Hello. You know, it begins to weigh down. The Lord has different kinds of callings, and he certainly placed it on me. So Pastor Chuck said to me, how would you like to go to Africa? And so I hadn't really thought about it. You know, I told him that I would pray. And so Chuck called me into the office and he said, why don't you pray about going to Africa? Yeah, that's where we'll send him. We'll send him to the edge of the world. In the old days, they used to say, better be careful. If you trust God and all this mumbo-jumbo, you'll either end up in a mental institution or in Africa getting bit by tsetse flies.